Hello and welcome back to Kino-Plays, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. During the break, I just did a quick run through of evidence to see what he'd react to so we can not have to go through a lot of things that he won't react to. And then reloaded back to here so that you get everything that was up. I didn't actually read any of it, I just made sure to check what he'd react to first. Right, let's go through these things then. That's it! That's the King of Prosecutors Award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Were you at the award ceremony, Detective Gumshoe? Yeah, of course, man, pal. I got an award for diligence myself. Ah, congratulations. Say, this design's based on an old Chinese parable, right? Yeah, everyone knows that. There was this, dragon. Yeah, that's it, a dragon. Sure it wasn't a kobold? He had a thing for shields, see? That's not exactly the version we heard. No, but this one sounds more exciting. Anyway, it gets kinda gory after that. I'll spare you the details. Aw, you cock tease! I was really interested in hearing what kind of bullshit he came out with. Aww. This guy almost made us lose the case today. What are you talking about? He was guarding the bloodstain on that evidence locker with his life. That's more than you can say about most officers nowadays. It would have saved us a lot of trouble if you hadn't guarded it so well. I have to admit he's right, though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we were able to prove another possibility today. The possibility that another murder took place prior to 5:15. That's the photo Miss Starr took. Anything you can tell us about it? That Miss Starr is quite the lady. Why, I remember it was winter, I was 16. She was the only one who ever got me to talk about what happened. 16? That's how old I am now. I wonder what happened. I wonder if Detective Gumshoe wore a trench coat in high school too. Crap, we'd already talked to him about that one. That's why I was making jokes about some very dark stuff that must have happened to him when he was 16. This knife belonged to the murderer Joe Dark, right? You bet. If it weren't for that piece of evidence, he wouldn't have been found guilty. The broken tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. Ever since that case was solved, this knife's been in Detective Goodman's locker. How could it have possibly gotten to Mr. Edgeworth's car? Better question, why doesn't this particular piece of art include the scarf that was sticking out of the exhaust? Why is that missing from this image? Weird. Not only that, but it was wrapped in Lana's scarf. What's even more mysterious is whether that's called a scarf or a muffler. Answer me that, pal. Okay. Hey, I just bought some of that stuff. Now I can go around detecting blood traces too. Wow! Is that a new type? I've never seen that bottle before. Looks like hand wash. What? Add 3 inches to your base height. What? Has he got some sort of dick growth cream? What the fuck? Base height? Hey, let me see that. Looming tall, new and improved growth formula. You mean this can't detect any blood traces? Well, it's not quite the same thing as luminol. So that's why the lady at the counter had that smirk on her face. Holy crap, it really is dick growth formula. For a moment there, I was with the description of raising it and all that. I was thinking it was just hair gel. I thought that was where they were going with this, to make it less of a dirty joke. No, it's some sort of dick growth formula. What the fuck? Okay. That's the ID card record, isn't it? Yes, there's only one number left to investigate at 4:20 PM. The victim, Detective Goodman, must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. Lots of sevens. That's 1 7 too many, Detective. An executive officer. I just might have a hunch. Dude, you've already used that number to open the safe in this room. Why didn't you update the ID card record with Gant's number? I mean, I suppose you haven't definitively proven that it's Gant's number, but it's hard to imagine it being anyone else after that. Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Here, I know what that is. So, you want to take some fingerprints? That's a great idea, Detective. Alright, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take me fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Eh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humour? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then, once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? Don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. I gave him my best shot. That kind of result won't be any good for matching prints, will it? But it doesn't look like we'll get a clearer result from this print. Okay, let's try a different finger then. This one looks the clearest. Maybe. Give me best. Nope, still no good. Alright, different fingerprint. Try this one. Oh yeah, this is the one. Ah! Come on, what am I missing? How perfect does this need to be? There we go. Okay, so it's not Gant's. It's Emma's. What? Okay. Maybe you are onto something here, Tomo, with maybe somehow Emma's the one who killed Neil. Oh, crap! What if I'm wrong? What if Gant didn't murder the guy, but did frame Dark? What if Emma accidentally pushed Neil and he got impaled on that statue's spear. Then Gant knocks out Dark, dumps Neil's body on him, and changes the murder weapon out for that knife. But that still wouldn't explain the sword from the trophy, though, because it seems obvious that the sword from the trophy must have been used as the murder weapon, and then they switched that for the knife because they're so similar with their broken tips. I don't understand how that would come into play. We're still missing something here. No, how can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? It seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Here, you. Over here. What's going on in here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me! Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here. Maybe you should hold on to this. Okay. Evidence of something, but what? It's got a fingerprint on it. Okay. That's weird. Oh crap, I'm on the wrong mode. I need to present. There we go. Yeah. Suddenly there are two gumshoes. He's over here and he's over that side. What the hell? Weird. A lost item reporter. Very impressive, Detective. You knew what it was right off the bat. Well, I am a master in misplacement, you know. Master, that has such a cool ring to it. The way I see it, if things are meant to be lost, then they're meant to be lost. There's a higher power at work here. Wow, a higher power. Maybe I shouldn't let Emma hold any evidence. Okay. No locker can be opened without a fingerprint match. Besides, there's no reason for the murderer to touch his own locker. Hey, wasn't your locker the one with blood on it, Detective? The handprint of the real murderer's gloved hand, without any fingerprints. Shh! If they come to arrest me, you'll defend me, won't you? If that happens, I think you'll do better pleading with Edgeworth. Oof. I feel a lot better now that this jaw's complete. But it only raises another question. What was a piece of it doing in the chief's safe? More importantly, why weren't there any money in there? Isn't that what safes are for, anyway? I have a feeling the outcome of tomorrow's trial just might hinge on this. I can't believe Officer Marshall would do something like that. You know Officer Marshall? Of course I do. He was like a mentor to me. When I first started out, he even gave me a small cactus. Really? He said, Dick, she'll listen to all your troubles. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe talks to a cactus. Hard to believe he's just a patrolman now. Someone ought to trade places with him. How about you? What? Why are you looking at me like that? I've been studying up on those files. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth's presentation. I think people are accusing him of injustice. I, for one, ain't buying it, pal. You're looking into the case of Mr. Edgeworth? Hang on, we've read all this one already. Crap. Crap, what were the last ones? After the case files, it was just the evidence list. Although we didn't have that handprint thing for him to respond to. That's what the chief was reading before, isn't it? You know, when we first came in here? Yeah, looks like the right side of the form's been torn off. So, Mr. Edgeworth's list really was only half of the whole thing. Something else is bugging me more than that. Take a look at the back of that form, pal. The back? Yeah, I've already looked at that. It's a picture. Maybe I'll actually react to it now that he's pointed it out. Nope, I shouldn't have pressed that then. It's already got a tick on it. No changes. Oops. Oh, crap. Well, I can at least analyse this anyway. This is a fingerprint, right? Yeah, someone left behind an oil stain on the fabric. An oil stain, you say? You mean like the oil that I think is on that jacket in the photo? Interesting. Whoever it was, they must have had a really oily hand. Mr. Wright, think about it scientifically. Eh? A more likely explanation is the person slipped and fell on a freshly waxed floor, getting wax all over their hand. Well, that would account for this amount of oil, I guess. I don't see what's so scientific about it, though. It happens, you know. I always slip on the floors at school after they're waxed. Okay. And there's nothing on the back of it, so that's not useful. Oh, I didn't show him these two. Detective, here's my attorney's badge. No, that's the same thing. Already seen that one, yeah. How about this one? This ID card belongs to the victim, Detective Bruce Goodman. You can do just about anything these days with a card and a secret number. Scary. It's only scary because you keep dropping your card, Detective Gumshoe. I forget my secret number a lot too. I'm scared of myself. But I'm me, after all. And what could be wrong with that? I think I'll stay out of this conversation. Okay, and one thing just for the weirdness of when he totally messes up. If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get it all out of my system now. You understand, don't you? Don't be so negative, Detective. We do want you to share your information, though. Oh, who am I fooling? I've never had anything useful to share to begin with. Got to stay positive. Oh, that didn't actually unlock any further talk topics. Weird. That desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it here. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So, ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant and the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. Well, that sounds like a clue to maybe spritz the entire room with luminol. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, innit? Why'd you ask? You don't think? Nah, you wouldn't be. No. No, there's no way. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let go of that. Sorry? This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Well, was he any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Oh, son of a bitch! I guess I'm not going to get to luminol the place then? No, that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Chief Gant. We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir. Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait! You, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright? Yeah, if he hasn't noticed the open safe, he certainly... I mean, if he has noticed the open safe, he certainly hasn't responded to it. Although maybe that's why he's called Emma to stay behind. Look, pal, if I told you once, I'd told you 1,000 times. The Chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? Dude, we found half of an evidence list, and the missing piece of pottery from a previous case, and a cloth with handprints in it. Seems like we had a very good reason to go in there. Thank you for the follow, following every theory. I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was holding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listening to me? I'm going to try and smooth things over with the Chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. I really am disappointed I didn't get a chance to spray luminol around, but then again, 2 years later I don't think we'd see evidence of blood on that spear, do you? And that's if I'm even right about the spear. Which I don't think I am. Because I really do think it was the sword from the trophy that must have stabbed him. I see. So, the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning? It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really. I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. That I'm guilty and that I stabbed the detective, I guess. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. Yep. You know, I think I've finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say? So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom, may I ask, is this person you're speaking of? The one I am supposedly so frightened of. What is this person's name? Well, Miss Guy? Mr. Wright, you're addressing the Chief Prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? Okay. We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is responsible, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offences. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Ooh. Well, I don't know about falsified evidence. Unless... Now, it's either the jar because the piece was hidden in the jar, in the safe. But I think it must be the evidence list, the reason why he only gave up half of the list. I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. No you didn't. The evidence list was in his desk. Wait, what? Okay. You're showing the other stuff instead of what I just told you to present. Okay. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Seriously, why did it show up those two pieces of evidence when that's not what I presented? I was presenting the evidence list because it's suspicious as hell that he's only providing half of it to Edgeworth. I was going to present the jar and the piece of cloth afterwards. Because I thought I'd have to do, here's evidence, here's an evidence list of things that might have been falsified, and then here's the two pieces that I think are false. God damn it. Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Goodman's body. You'll find inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you are not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. Yeah, I'm sure you had to inspect it really hard to discover that murder weapon. It's so well hidden. No one would ever notice that. The murder weapon. You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I just couldn't leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. Why? That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that's the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes. It seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it? In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe? Right. Then I called my sister. To tell her what happened, and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma's so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean... Not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. Bullshit! That doesn't match the timeline of events at all. You're saying that Detective Goodman was killed, then you were called over to transfer the body, and before you did that, you called Marshall, and then he took upon himself to disguise himself as Marshall to keep the investigation going. There's one slight flaw with that. Jake had already stolen Goodman's ID card while Goodman was alive, because Goodman started filling out a missing ID card form, didn't he? That does not line up at all. Why are you still lying to me? He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card. Oh, so at least you're mentioning that part. But it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. Really? He hadn't made up his mind to break in, but he already had a full costume ready to look like Goodman, and had already stolen the ID card. Big X. Huge X stood out. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the Chief's office 2 years ago? This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lorna all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth? Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 777 with the ID card number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. She didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today is the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on it, it's now. Court is... Oh crap, me throat. Ow! Just need a sip of water. Ow, that hit. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defence is ready, Your Honour. The prosecution is ready, Your Honour. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant? Ooh, I'm a ghost. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Archie. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. That's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Don't let her do it, Phoenix. That sounded like a warning to you. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honour, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 25th of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! You can't! Your Honour, the defendant's claim does not change the defence's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana? Your Honour, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me. but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Objection!
One moment, Your Honour. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. Damn, Edgy! With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honour, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. Why? You already decided on a verdict. And you were going to pronounce her guilty. I mean, if you were going to say she was not guilty, and then you're giving it more of a listen to see if the evidence could sway you, I'd understand, but she's admitted to being guilty and you were about to agree. Okay. Video game logic. Let's go. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. I'd say more likely he's taking the bull by the horns, but yeah. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident like that Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. Shutting up now. He sure gave him fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. We didn't get a photo of the scene of death, did we? No, it doesn't say. We haven't got one. Because in the photo in the image we were shown when being told about what happened, the knife was in his back, not his chest. But we haven't got any evidence to prove that. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? Yeah, and he was lying on top of the killer. That will soon become apparent, Your Honour. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Yeah, and the fact that he's put all of the burden of proof on top of you there, righto. Seeing as though you're the one who has to cross-examine him. Here, I mean. Very well. The defence may begin its cross-examination. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yeah, I don't get why we're doing the cross-examination here. He should... Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, he should cross-examine her to get the full story that he wants. And second of all, we were fired. We're no longer the defence of Lorna. Why are we doing this? Why are we being allowed to do this? I don't know. Yes, she was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit on my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lorna promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. A man? Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye in Gant's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were 2 people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. I'm gonna keep pushing, but I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna do a loop around, and at this moment I'll present the evidence list with the picture on it. Unless something else shows up anyway. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out? Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman? The victim? Keep going. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes. That's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Keep going. This picture, the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honour. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Okay, I'm not going to keep going and pushing because that is the clear point to present this. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold. This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honour. Turn it over. Turn it... Ah, what's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew. Indeed. 2 men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh. These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? Order. But, Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honour. What? Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honour? Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Ooh! Now that's an interesting call there. Yeah, what's on the back of his list? Huh? Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honour. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. And we will find out what is on the back of his list next stream on Kino-Plays Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. New episodes uploaded daily to the YouTube channel, 9 PM UK time. Thank you for joining me, take care, and goodbye.